My face looks kind of red. Probably because I just took a shower and exfoliated. Gotta get that good skin. Anyhow, let me start this off by saying my people are the best people. I know that's like kind of a joke in pop culture right now, how toxic YouTube comment sections can be and how people just lose their minds when they're arguing with complete strangers on the internet about things that usually don't matter. But you guys consistently drop nothing but like heartfelt, good, thoughtful comments that are motivating and confidence inspiring, and that just really makes my day when I read one of those. It's the best. Y'all are the best. 10 out of 10 would be friends with you in real life. So thank you for that. It's awesome. Please keep doing it. It's great. Beyond that, one of these books that I bought, I made a video the other day about how I bought a bunch of old books just for my personal reference, and the linear algebra book that I bought is written by a guy called Gilbert Strang, and he's old as dirt. He's a professor at MIT, and he has been for, 20 years. I mean, he got his thesis in 1965, and he wrote this book in 1975. This is the first edition of his linear algebra and its applications text. I think he's on his 5th or 7th edition now. So this book is like 42 years old. And he gets kind of mixed reviews on Amazon as far as his texts go. But I started reading the preface, and it says this: I believe that the teaching of linear algebra has become too abstract. This is a sweeping judgment, and perhaps it is too sweeping to be true, but I feel certain that a text can explain the essentials of linear algebra and develop the ability to reason mathematically without ignoring the fact that this subject is as useful and central and applicable as calculus. It has a simplicity which is too valuable to be sacrificed. That mirrors my sentiment to the T. It's all too abstract. No one talks about application, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it. Hallelujah. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert Strang, for pointing that out 42 years ago. No one took it to heart, it seems like, but someone said it at least. So I'm looking forward to reading this. That'll probably be my my math hour for today. I was looking at my average, and right now it's like 1.9. We're 79 days into the semester. Got about a month left, 3.5 weeks, something like that. And the only way I'm gonna hit a 2-hour average is to do 2 hours every day for the rest of the semester, on top of what I already did, and that'll give me 2 hours. But right now I'm at 150 hours or so. Which reminds me, I was thinking about it last night as I was trying to fall asleep. There's this guy, I don't know if he still writes a lot. He was pretty prolific like half a decade or so ago, 5 or 6 years ago. His name's Malcolm Gladwell. One of the more popular books he wrote was called The Outliers. And I read it for the most part. I think I read the majority of it, not the whole thing. I don't remember exactly. But it introduced this idea of a magic number, which is 10,000 hours of really practicing something and training at it in order to become essentially an expert at it, or to master it, really mastery level, I guess is more accurate to say. And he talked about people like Bill Gates, who probably did 10,000 hours of coding and programming as a kid and young adult. Michael Jordan, or like other high profile sports people. You get the idea. They spent an extremely large amount of time on one particular thing in order to master it. And that was making me wonder, like, how much would I have to do over the course of a bachelor's degree in order to hit 10,000 hours? So maybe I'll make a short video about that later at some time and try and crunch some numbers and see how much more I would have to do to hit a 10,000 goal. I don't think it would be feasible, but maybe through a graduate degree it would be. That seems more likely, but I don't know, save that for another time. We're still looking for houses, or I say we, but I've taken too much credit. Anna has been doing most of it, and we still have trouble because we're still so far out, and turnover seems to be so high that people are like, no, you should really call when you're gonna move in 2 weeks. I'm like, that's cutting it really close for us, because we can't just go to South Florida and live in a hotel until we find a place to live, because I'll be starting school like less than 2 weeks after Anna graduates, and she'll start working, so we have to have a place. And we were talking to my mom about it, who knows a handful of people that like she grew up with and like friends of friends in South Florida and in the area where we're gonna live. And she's like, well, I have this friend of a friend and she's a realtor, so hopefully she can hook you up. So we were like, sure, yeah, it can't hurt. Give her our information. So we did that. She gave us a call and texted us and all kinds of other things, and I guess she's on the lookout. She's been more in contact with Anna than with me, but I guess she's on the lookout and helping hook us up with a house. So that was really great to see. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I've said that before and I'll say it again. So hopefully that pans out. I really don't want to live in an apartment, but if that happens, it happens. And, you know, maybe we only do that for a year and then get a house or what. I don't know, but I really want a house. Speaking of moving, the transfer process hasn't been terrible. It's been kind of a hassle. Most of it was expected, but there were a couple things I didn't plan on or that I was afraid of but were hoping weren't true. One of which was the fact that USF makes all undergraduates do 8 hours of foreign language. I'm gonna have to do that. I picked Spanish. I thought about doing something like Russian or something harder, Arabic, which I only have, you know, a very, very faint memory of doing in the military, and I never learned to write it because it's, you know, a whole other alphabet. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to make things harder. I've already dabbled in making my life harder than it needs to be when I, you know, jumped into the engineering physics pool deep end. I'm not trying to do that anymore. So I just went with Spanish and I said, I remember enough of that to probably breeze through the first semester. It'd be fine. But that remains to be seen. Additionally, Florida has what's called the Gordon Rule. So all college kids, in order to graduate, they have to take an X number of hours in what's considered writing intensive classes. So those might not be English classes or literature classes necessarily. They can be basically on anything, but it has to be writing intensive. Like you have to write several thousand words within the span of that class in order for it to contribute towards that goal. And there's like an overarching word count, which I believe is 20,000 words or something near that. I could be wrong. I don't know. If you know better, feel free to correct me in the comments. It's like at least 5 digits. I want to say it's at least 10 to 15, maybe 20,000 words. I don't know. Which is just irritating because I thought I was done with writing, but I guess not. And I did get an email yesterday afternoon saying, hey, you've done your orientation advising appointment, so now you can register. And I was like, great. Get in when the availability is, you know, better than it will be later. And I tried to register and I was like, no, you can't until orientation. I was like, dang. But up until I got to that point, I was looking at classes, and one of them I had already looked at was only online. Can't do that, out of the question. Won't get BAH for it. I have to be in person. Class has to be in person. And another one wasn't offered in the summer. So I was looking for some more within this writing intensive section because I already have my math and my foreign language, you know, down pat and concrete. And I found this other class called Scientific Communication. And I was like, tell me more. You've piqued my interest. And I was reading it, and it was about learning how to be a good writer of like science material, basically. And I was like, that's kind of up my alley. I've been told in the past, I think my father-in-law told me that that's something that he thought I would be good at, was science writing, just because obviously I'm into science, you know, and STEM in general. And also because when I was younger, I did a good bit of creative writing, and I did that up until the end of my freshman year last year, when I wrote my 15,000, 20,000 word novella. I don't know. I don't remember. English has been like the easiest A's I've ever gotten in college, as I slept through all of those classes and got A's without a problem. That's always been my best subject. And people all my life have been like, you should go into writing. And I'm like, I don't love it. Or I do, but I don't want having a career in it to ruin that casual love that I have for it, if it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like doing something you love for a job takes some of the fun out of it sometimes. And that would definitely be the case for me, especially when it comes to deadlines and having other people edit the shit out of my work. Like, yeah, not for me. I'll do it casually if I want to and leave it at that. But the class really piqued my interest, and I went to add it to my shopping cart, as they call it, just like to have it pending on hold. And it was like only offered in the spring, and I was like, damn it. So I got all excited for it, but I may try and take it because I'm going to have to take more than one class of this BS Gordon Rule. But right now, Anna is getting her nails done. I guess she got a mani-pedi or something like that in celebration, because I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Anna was in this research presentation competition. So undergraduates and graduates from all departments and colleges were presenting the research that they've done to, like, you know, formal judges and all this other stuff. And there were like poster versions and full-on presentation versions, which is what Anna had. And she felt really good about it, and I videotaped it and everything, and I put it on YouTube, but I made it private because she only wanted to share it with family. So maybe she'll change her mind at some point. I don't know. She didn't get an email back the next day or the day after that, and she was feeling kind of down and out about it. And then she got an email yesterday saying, hey, this is when our award ceremony is going to be if you want to go. And she was like, why would you send invitations to an award ceremony to everyone? Only people that got awards are going to want to go, probably, unless they're going to go to support a friend, which is unlikely. Not too long after that, she got an email saying, congratulations, you've won. And so she was excited about that, but it didn't specify what kind of awards you won, because there's like third, second, and first place. And first place is $500 or $1,000 or something like that. I think it's $500. And third place was like $100, so maybe second's $250. I don't know. But they didn't tell her what she won, so she has to go to the awards thing. So good on her. I think she's more so glad to have something to put on her CV than the money. But I'm like, money? Take me out to a nice seafood dinner. So that's cool. So she's doing that. I'm probably going to hop into this linear algebra book for my math for the day. Probably going to take the dog to the DOG-PARK later. Can't say it out loud because he'll get all excited and he already has too much energy. Anyhow, it's a nice day. Gonna chillax. Maybe go play some pool tonight with some friends. We'll see. Before I go, obviously some people notice because they watch it, but I posted my linear algebra video that I made about linear transformations, and that was exciting. That was fun to make. It was a little bit challenging in the editing process because my audio track was separate from my video track, so I had to, whenever I had to make an edit in one, I had to like adjust the other one kind of back and forth so that they lined up for the most part. But that wasn't too bad, but I'm happy with how it came out. I think there's some tweaking to be done for sure, but I'm pretty happy with it. I was excited to post it, and hopefully it'll get some pretty good reception. If you haven't watched it yet, please do if you're interested. But anyhow, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.